Now, so with identifying ionic, covalent, and acid, identifying acids is just as easy as it was with the H because the acid name ends in acid, right? Like, so there you go. But the key for this one is going to be say, okay, is that a metal or a non-metal? Okay? So first, just like I did with going from formulas to name, I'm going to knock out my acids, okay? Acid, 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 because I told you they were acids. Like I love you, take the hint. Like it's a big hint, take it. Okay, calcium is to the left of the staircase. Metal is ionic. Sodium, left of the staircase. Metal, ionic. Lead, one, it gives me a charge, so like that's one indicator that it's ionic. Lead is also to the left of the staircase, which makes it a metal. Metal is ionic. If it starts with a metal, you know, metal, non-metal, non-metal. Okay, you with me? Zinc, left of the staircase, ionic. Dinitrogen pentoxide. Screams covalent. Nitrogen is a non-metal, and we have prefixes.
Next one's covalent.
Carbon is a non-metal, and it has a, because it's to the right of the staircase, and it has a prefix, it's covalent. Prefix, sulfur is to the left of the staircase, non-metal, covalent. Iodine, left of the staircase, right of the staircase.
It's okay. It's okay.
To the right of the staircase, non-metal, covalent. Sorry if I I know metal and non-metal, I don't know left and right. Calcium bromide. When you're writing the formula for an ionic compound, remember the 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus or minus 4 minus 3 minus 2 minus 1, 0 at the top of the row, okay? You will not be given that on the test. You need to remember that pattern. Okay, go back to the stadium in your head where we filled it in. Okay, calcium, second group, positive 2 charge. Bromine, seventh group of the main group. So like the next to last. It's a halogen. Halogens have a -1 charge. Crisscross, CaBr2. I don't write a 1, and do not write 2 plus as a subscript. The plus, 2 plus is the charge. 2 is how many atoms there are. Okay? Sodium hydroxide. Sodium is in the first group, Na1 plus. Hydroxide is a polyatomic ion. OH, 1 minus. When you drop a charge on a polyatomic, make sure you put it in parentheses. This time we're dropping a 1. We don't write 1s, so in this case, we don't need the parentheses, okay? Since there's no subscript, I don't need the parentheses. However, if you are in doubt, I would put parentheses anyway, because both of these answers I would give full credit. Okay? So if you're the person that's like, oh my goodness, that's just one more thing that I'm going to have to sort out and I don't want to get it wrong, include parentheses, like put all of your polyatomic ions in parentheses. Because it's not a sin to put a polyatomic ion in parentheses that doesn't need it. It is a sin to forget parentheses.
It's a sin.
It's a sin. It's a chemical sin. Okay. Lead 4 sulfate. When you have a Roman numeral, that tells you the charge. So lead is Pb. It's a 4 plus charge. Sulfate is SO4 2 minus. I'm going to put it in parentheses.
Oh, yeah.
sulfate. 8-ite, those tell you it's a polyatomic ion. If it ends in "ide," it's an element. Except for hydroxide, okay, but there's always an except for. So, this ends up being Pb2 SO4 4.
Yay.
But I have to reduce these
Jeez.
at Pb. So I'm going to divide them both by 2. SO4 2. Now, you should make a note. If it is ionic, you reduce the subscripts. You do not reduce subscripts in covalent. You do not reduce the subscripts in the covalent. You do not reduce the subscripts in covalent. You do not reduce the subscripts in the covalent. You do reduce subscripts in ionic. Okay? Zinc sulfide. For your test, you need to remember that zinc has a 2+ charge, silver has a 1+. Those are the only exceptions to that 1+, 2+, 3+ that are not listed on the back. So the multivalent are listed on the back. The only other thing, you need to know the pattern, and you need to know zinc has a 2+ charge, silver has a 1+ charge. Okay? Sulfide, that means that it's the element. Ide, sulfide, so it's sulfur. Sulfur has a 2- charge. When I crisscross, I get Zn2S2. It is ionic. I reduce it. So it's ZnS.
Hey.
Okay? Now we're on to covalent. What gets added to covalent names that does not get added to ionic?
Prefix.
Prefixes. Dinitrogen pentoxide. I've got N and I've got O. Nitrogen, oxygen. How many nitrogens do I have?
Don't
2. Di means 2. Pent, pentagon. How many?
5.
5. Carbon disulfide. Sulfide,
Element.
sulfur. You'll never have a polyatomic ion in a covalent bond, but I'm just reinforcing that. Sulfate, sulfite, sulfide. Like so that you can differentiate, okay? Carbon, no prefix. How many are there? 1. Sulfur, di. How many? 2. You should actually be a little closer together, but oh well. You love me anyway. Okay. Trisulfur dichloride. Sulfur and chlorine. SCl. Tri, how many? 3. Di, how many? 2. Iodine heptafluoride. We've got iodine, I. Fluorine. Iodine doesn't have a prefix, so how many?
1.
Do I write the 1?
No.
Fluoride. Hepta.
7.
7. Okay? I want to show you one thing before I move on. And then that's if, what if I had made this tetra sulfur? What would that be? Dichloride.
S.
S4Cl2. And you would not reduce it. This is tetrasulfur dichloride. You don't reduce it because it's telling you that there are 4 sulfurs and 2 chlorines. Okay? I wanted to give you an example of that as well, okay? Nitric acid, sulfurous acid, hydrobromic acid. Okay. Acids have 2 things. If they have hydro, they're an element. If they don't have hydro, they're polyatomic ions. All acids start with H. So it's exactly like ionic bonding, and hydrogen is always our cation. Okay? So when you see an acid, put H. And you're going to crisscross just like ionic bonding. Put the H. Now, we got to figure out what it is attached to. No hydro, polyatomic ion, ick acid. You ate something icky.
Nitrate.
So it came from nitrate.
Negative.
Nitrate,
Is it
NO3,
NO3?
1 minus. Crisscross, HNO3. Sulfurous acid. Acid comes from ite. There is no sulfurite. Phosphorus and sulfur are mean.
H2O.
It's sulfite. So that's the only thing you have to be able to remember is that, okay, if sulfur bonds, it turns to sulfide. If sulfate bonds, it turns into sulfurous or sulfuric. Yeah, I'll take either. You need to know that this comes from ite. There is no sulfurite, but there is a sulfite.
Right.
Those are the same thing. That is SO3 2 minus, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Crisscross, H2SO3. Hydro, element. Hydro, it's an element. Hydro, it's an element. What's the element?
Bromide.
Bromide.
Or bromine.
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 Br, what's the charge on it?
1.
1 minus
H.
HBr.
I'm surprised you didn't get that much of it right.
Is that gonna be the test? Like,
I'm
Like this
proud of
type of
myself.
page?
So